Imagine the picture. A young guy, probably with headphones in his ears, sitting in a cafe, ordering a latte, or maybe a black coffee, let's not judge, and scrolling through his Instagram. And lo and behold, amidst the memes and kitties, he comes across a photo of Trump with the caption, "A real man." The question, why would this photo resonate with him? Why would millions of young men around the world choose to support Trump? The reasons turned out to be much more complex than just a desire to elect a man who isn't afraid to say what he thinks. New York Times and Siena college polls conducted in the run-up to the election showed staggering data. In swing states, young men supported Trump 13 points more than Kamala Harris. Women aged 18 to 29, by contrast, had almost symmetrical support for the Democrat, 38 points in Harris's favor. The 51% gender gap among Generation Z seems to look like a scene from a Hollywood action film, only in the place of the fight: culture, gender, and masculinity. But what's behind this gender gap? Young women seem to be becoming more liberal, increasingly supportive of women's rights and sexual freedom. At the same time, male audiences, particularly those supporting Trump, feel something has gone wrong. It's like they're playing a game of find the differences, only between women's rights and their rights. Tap water, conspiracy or reality? This is where Oliver Appleby, a student who for some reason is convinced that the water in cities is poisoned with hormones and contraceptives, enters the scene. Do you think this is a joke? No, it's an actual theory common among some conservative circles. Appleby explains that, say, if you drink tap water, you're taking estrogen with it, and that's why testosterone levels in men drop with each passing decade. You know, I also once wondered why my muscles aren't as big as Trump's. Maybe it's the fact that I live in a big city and maybe we drink too much water with hormones? Well, who knows? But seriously, such scientific theories are very popular in certain circles, and they influence the opinions of young men, like Appleby, who, feeling that his lost masculinity is under threat, supports Trump. Trump as a symbol of masculinity. One of the most memorable moments in this story is the rally in Pennsylvania when Trump was shot in the ear, but continued his speech by raising his fist in the air. If you thought it was just another event, for the younger generation, Trump has become a true symbol of masculine strength. He didn't just take a punch, he became a living example that real men don't give up. It doesn't matter if you've been shot. The important thing is to get up and get on with the show. Appleby, like many others, found something very cool in that act, and it's perhaps one of the clearest examples of how a politician can become not just a leader, but an almost mythical figure. Michael Berry, a conservative radio host, said it's important for young people to see politics as a winner. They want someone who isn't afraid to fight, who is willing to step into the ring at any moment and show who's in charge. For many young men, the earshot has become such a symbol of male toughness. It's no wonder his support among men has grown so much. He says, podcasts, UFC, and boxing. How Trump won the hearts of young people. Trump and his campaign quickly realized that the internet is a battleground for young audiences. In recent years, the former U.S. president has actively interacted with popular internet personalities like Logan Paul and Aiden Ross, who have the highest number of male subscribers. These guys attract the attention of young men who love not only memes, but also topics like UFC, boxing, and other pastimes that are much closer to young men than traditional political debates. Trump has appeared heavily on podcasts like Full Send, 91% male audience, or Lex Friedman, 87% male audience, bringing him into an audience where he has become not just a political leader, but almost a cult figure. He even talked about his favorite boxers, which, one would agree, creates an image of someone who understands youth culture, abortion and culture, polarization as a strategy. One of the turning points in the campaign was the issue of overturning the Roe v. Wade decision. Women, of course, stood up for their right to abortion, but it also led to increased male support for Trump. Why? Because his supporters argue the abortion issue has become emblematic of a larger culture war in which the parties are divided along gender lines. Democrats are for women and Republicans are for men is the kind of unofficial slogan that could appear on Trump supporters' t-shirts. For young men who feel that their rights are constantly threatened, Trump has become a true knight who defends their values. So, if you suddenly don't understand why some young people are supporting Trump, consider this. Maybe it's not about politics. Maybe it's because Trump looks like the kind of guy who will say no at the right moment, even if things don't go according to plan. Generation Z, young people as the deciding factor in the election. In 2024, Generation Z has truly become the force that influenced the election. Nearly 40.8 million members of this generation are expected to be able to vote, including 8.3 million new voters. And while many of them are confused by political polarization, a large proportion of young people have ultimately found themselves on Trump's side. Not surprisingly, His campaign focused on this new, important segment. Trump has certainly become a cultural phenomenon, not just voicing his views, but building an image of a strong, unbending leader who is willing to fight for real men. And for many young people, this is what makes him unbeatable in the political ring.